I'm going to say something about Hunter Biden, and it's not being said by anybody, especially those of the alleged prototypical conservative realm. The issue is about Hunter Biden's Second Amendment rights that nobody is discussing. Why? Because in an anger scrum, in this pitchfork and torch, the move, this swarm and scrum and this mob and this ochlocracy, this gang of let's get Hunter and Burisma, and he sold out the secret, he's a bum, he's a crack addict. Okay, fine, I understand that. That's great. You hate him. Terrific. Here is the question, though. They're trying to take away our Second Amendment rights. Hear me out. And there has been this latest move fairly recently in red flag laws. Hey, we're just going to come in and suspend your rights to possess a firearm. Well, because you have been exhibiting some behaviors that, well, frankly, your family is concerned about. So we're just going to take away your firearms for a while, or we'll give them back after a hearing, and you hire a lawyer, and you can convince some magistrate that the Second Amendment constitutional right applies to you, and that you've learned, or rather earned, a constitutional right. Think about what I'm saying. You've earned it? I never lost it. You can't tell somebody, excuse me, we're going to make a condition. You see, you have a right, a constitutional right. And by the way, the Supreme Court case of Bruin that Justice Thomas was very clear about, I think invalidates all of this. If you allow there to be some federal law that says you can't possess a firearm if you're under the influence of drugs, there was no provision for that in the Constitution, period. They had drunks then. They had alcoholics then. They had drunkards and those who were crapulous and people who tippled, and they had that then. They had crazy people. They had benighted moonbats then. The drafters of the Constitution could have said only for the sane, only for the landowners, only for white people, only whatever. Well, one could argue that before the 13th Amendment, that's what they meant. But anyway, they didn't say that. Now, I know we hate Hunter Biden. Okay, fine. Forget Hunter Biden. What they're going to do next is they're going to say, I'm sorry, Mr. Veteran, Mr. Marine Corps veteran with PTSD. Your family members have noticed that you kind of sit around at night with your service 45 or your service revolver or whatever, or a lot of weapons. You've had a lot of weapons, and you've been watching a lot of Fox News and talking about Trump and wearing that MAGA hat, and and you've been posting some pretty weird stuff too. A lot of right-wing misinformation, disinformation, hate speech, and you've talked a lot about, well, things like you've had the Gadsden flag and this J6 stuff, and you know what? We're going to take the red flag theory and we're going to extrapolate it. I mean, after all, we went after the son of a sitting president when he was purchasing weapons under the influence. And all of the people on the alleged conservative TV shows, all of the standard bearers for Ronald Reagan. By the way, there is no NRA anymore. Gun owners and gun ownership and Second Amendment, that's been just, forgotten, okay? Well, I haven't forgotten about it. If you're going to get Hunter Biden for something, you can't get him on bribery. You can't get him on a grand conspiracy along with his father. And by the way, if the Supreme Court comes back with no immunity, he's next. And I hope President Trump knows exactly what to do, because as far as I'm concerned, that conspiracy to conceal and to perpetuate is still going on either through novation or just one continuous conspiracy with Hunter and his uncle, Biden's brother. Anyway, Hunter Biden deserves a Second Amendment protection like you do. They're trying to take away your ability to have unfettered, unlimited, unedited, unexpurgated rights to possess firearms for your protection. Firearms, not cannons, not howitzers. You know, that's always a favorite question. Well, do you believe that we should allow for grenades? You know, a howitzer, a nuclear bomb, you know. Is that an arm? Will that satisfy you? During the time of the Constitution, and the great Justice Scalia spoke of this, there was a common law a crime called affrighting, where you would, if you walk down the street with a battle axe or some kind of a war mallet or something, that could be prohibited because of either the threatening notion, the threatening aspect that it posed. There were limitations. You can't brandish weapons. The idea that somehow you're going to get a howitzer, but they'll play around with, you know, bump stocks and quote, assault weapons. A retractable stock makes an assault weapon. A bayonet clip. You know what you call a rifle or a weapon that's not assaultive? A stick. They're trying this constantly. So the point to all of the supposed, theoretical, self-appointed, conservative leaders on cable news and otherwise, for the love of God, would you recognize the fact that the issue here is not Burisma, that's for another case, or whether he has bad teeth, or whether he was stooping his dead brother's wife. I mean, that's great for the Daily Mail. But for the issue here is, why is there a federal law that says somebody who is on drugs can't possess, purchase, own a firearm? Is Prozac or some type of SSRI, is that a drug too? You know what we're going to do if we do that to the brave men and women who've come back from battle, who are scarred mentally by virtue of what they saw and what we subjected them to? And yeah, maybe they're going through some moments of paranoia. Maybe they are going through a few sleepless nights. Maybe this weapon, which we trained them to possess, trained them to use, trained them to clean and have with them at all time, which is a difference between life and death. Yeah, maybe they do have a kind of an attachment to it. And by virtue of this kind of mentality, this red flag nonsense, we're going to be limiting and diluting and taking away and chipping away the rights of the Second Amendment. So understand something. Hate Hunter all you want, but recognize something. Recognize this, I should say. He has the same Second Amendment rights as you do. So if you're clapping for his conviction, you're also clapping for the government's future ability to dilute, expurgate, and suspend and abrogate your constitutional rights to protect you and your family and your hearth. Okay? Good. Now do me a favor. Subscribe herein, follow this channel, and comment as you see fit.